Hi, everybody. I'm Uriah. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Cubee, the company that created Hive. And I'm here to talk today about consignment and what that means. Welcome to Consignment 101. I threw this presentation together just to kind of organize my own thoughts. But if we do get sidetracked or if there's like any information here that's not exactly accurate, please forgive me. And I'm really, again, I will say I'll be really happy to answer questions as we go through it, because I think consignment is, and we're going to talk about what that the hell that means, is one of the most important things to do when starting to sell to businesses. It's a really, really good tool. If you utilize it at the right time, it could really boost both your sales, and more importantly, your confidence in the business or in what products sell and what angle to take as a business. So let's just dive into it right away. This is the basics of basically getting products into businesses, getting your products in businesses, right? That's not what consignment is, but that is what I want the goal of this talk to be, just to get you a simple tool to actually get people to hold your products. And hopefully this will be of value to you all. So what we'll talk about today in the next probably around 30-minute talk, and then we'll have some time for questions, even a little bit less, is what consignment is, what it means, why do businesses need us, meaning like, because at the end of the day, we need to convince ourselves that there's a solution that we're offering here, that consignment is just a way for us to get into businesses. So why would businesses want to work with us in the first place? And then just a few tips of how to get started. Spoiler, it's basically the same thing that I say about anything to do with marketing or social media marketing. It's using that same template, but just in a different situation. So what consignment is? So I'm going to read out this like kind of long definition, and I'm going to break it down for you all. So it's basically, consignment is a business arrangement where a consigner, a seller, which is you guys, provides goods to a consignee, which is a retail or a third party, let's say a design store, right, or a plant shop. So you provide a goods to that shop to sell on your behalf. The consigner, which is you guys, retains ownership of the goods, which is the 3D printed product, until it is sold. And the consignee, which is the shop, earns a commission or a fee for facilitating the sale, right? This arrangement minimizes the risk of the consignee, meaning the shop has a minimized risk in this arrangement, as they only pay for the good once it is sold, while allowing you, the consigner, to reach a wider market. Okay, complex. Basically, what it says is you go to a shop and say, hey, look at this beautiful product, put it in your store. If it sells, pay me. If it doesn't, I'll take it back. That's it. That's the basic of consignment, right? Now, you have a goal in consignment, which is like you have a goal in general in the, let's look at the side of your business, which is B2B oriented. A lot of you have e-commerce shops. A lot of you already sell to specific businesses, but you have an interest, or if you're here, or maybe you just came to the webinar, you don't know what consignment is, but I'm sure many of you have this interest of having a part of your business go towards selling to businesses. Why? Because it's an easier deal flow, right? You sell once, and then they keep buying or they keep ordering. You can restock. It just makes more sense. We're going to talk about why it makes sense for them, why it makes sense for you. But the goal here is to integrate 3D prints into SMB retail. There are all these different retailers all over the world, right? And you can offer this digital inventory, which are the 3D designs. You can sell them physical products of that inventory, or you can hold their inventory as digital and make it for them whenever they need it. And that's a locally made product that is made everywhere with all the other benefits that we'll talk about later. We have this goal in mind, and what I just said about consignment, and it's not necessarily always the best solution, but consignment is one of the fastest, easiest way to get your product into the business. Now, before I dive further in, I want to ask if you have any questions about what the basic meaning of consignment is. And please don't be shy. Like I can explain it again. I can go over it because it's really, really important that we understand how the very basics of this work. Okay, no hands raised. I'll just say this one more time. Right, we're talking about putting a product inside a business without the business actually buying that product from you. Right, it sounds bad initially because we want to sell a product, but they can put it on the shelf. They can see if customers like it, and if they do like it, then customers buy it, and so on. Right? Why would we do such a thing? Why would we even go into this direction? Because it minimizes, right? This is what it said here. It minimizes the risk of the consignee. Really, really, really important. A business or a small business doesn't want to invest a lot in things that they're not confident in, right? People try to sell products to retail businesses all the time. Everybody wants a product to be held by a business. There's something a lot easier for a business to say, hell yeah, I'll put this on my shelf. Let's see if people like it. Why not, right? There's just literally nothing to lose except for a little bit of shelf space, which is why we are using this strategy in the first place. It's just a really good way to get a business to say yes to selling one of your products right off the bat. I worked in art galleries often, and we had specific artists that were very successful that we represented, meaning we purchased their paintings beforehand and then sold it, or paid them a retainer for being their exclusive sellers or their representative gallery, or paid them per painting depending on the contract. But getting a new artist in was 99% consignment. Okay, you got something here. It's interesting. Let's see. We might be able to move it. Let's put a painting on the wall and see what happens, right? And then the contract usually is, okay, we're going to split the profit 50-50. A business usually has, this is the rule of thumb, it changes country to country, but usually a business would want to make 2x what they pay for in a product, right? So if I am selling, this is my fidget for when I work. If I want to sell this baseball, right? If I'm a store that sells baseballs, that I'm gonna want to sell it at twice my production or purchase cost. So I'm gonna buy this from the baseball manufacturer. I'm gonna pay $2. I'm gonna charge $4 for this. So rule of thumb, it's something 50-50 is something that oftentimes you would see the contract happen in consignment, but it doesn't have to be 50-50, right? Sometimes if you just want to see what product customers like best when they're like put nicely on the shelf and you have all these different lamps and you say, okay, let's put 4 here and see what people are interested in, right? Maybe you don't care about making that much from the sale and you just want to test it out. The idea here is to start a relationship with the store. And we're going to end up talking at the end about how you don't want to get too drawn into only working through consignment, because consignment has a risk for you, which is you're producing something, you're giving it away, you're not getting paid for it unless it's being manufactured, right? You're just taking on the risk for the seller. But the seller's not going to necessarily want to buy from you, but it's going to be a lot easier for them to say yes to a product and to put it on the shelf. If it sells, believe you me, they're going to want more. And that's when you start being a supplier, which is the goal. This is where you want to be. This is where you start integrating 3D prints into SMB retail, because you become a regular supplier for a business. So why do businesses need you in the first place, right? This is like we're taking a step back from consignment and let's just talk about B2B sales. All right. I've talked about this before. You might have seen this slide before in other talks, but just generally to understand why your business is so amazing as a B2B business. And that's because centralized production is losing its power. So hundreds of thousands of the smaller medium bits, SMBs, we call them, small medium businesses. I'm not talking about Walmart here. I'm talking about the mom and pop shops, the e-commerce sellers, people who have smaller businesses. The whole concept of import and mass production, it doesn't pay off. They have to plan way in advance. Putting a product on the shelf just takes so much money, time, and effort. They search for vendors, either importers, or even like if they want something custom made, they work with like factories in China. They have to communicate with them through Alibaba. They wait months for a sample, then they approve it, they disapprove it, they place the order, they wait for shipment, they deal with customs, they stock the inventory, they have a minimum quantity order, which is crazy, right? They have to order 200 products right off the bat. And then there's variations, they have to start all over again, right? What you do in your business is you're offering a solution that hacks the supply chain for them. You are taking this whole process and you're digitizing and you're automating and localizing it. So the first part you're just doing it's digital, right? There's no like you're the vendor, okay, but there's no like this iterations, communication, samples, like that is like just digital manufacturing, and it's so automatic and so quick. This is what we do with 3D printing, right? They do approve the product, they do place the order, hopefully, and then the whole other part of fulfillment is also local, right? What you have the ability to do as a micro factory is to deal with local businesses in your country. You don't have to. You can go abroad, but like usually you won't go intercontinental with 3D printing, right? If you're right next to a different country, you can ship to that country. But generally speaking, your advantages are very simple. You have dynamic products that can change in color and shape really, really quickly. You can give them an opportunity to sell a product with very low or no inventory at all, right? Really quick. And you cut down on their whole overseas shipping costs, which are huge for these small businesses. That's why in the first place, a business, and this is the best selling points to businesses in general. That's why they would want to work with you. You have a unique product line, right? And they can save, even if your product is a bit more expensive than a made in China product. They have a lot uh, of things they can save on with these products, right? And there's just huge market for this. So just for the products that we are offering in Hive, which is more like the home decor, artsy things, and like and a bit above and beyond. In the United States, we did a research back in the day. There are over 200,000 businesses, e-commerce retailers that can use these type of products that you're offering. And that can benefit from these advantages. So flower and plant shops are the biggest one in home decor. Those are the two huge ones. And then you got that whole gaming, hobby, toy, art galleries, right? And gift stores, and then jewelry and spare parts. Like we're not currently doubling down on offering products in that area, but obviously 3D printing is, and you have that ability to serve these types of businesses. So these are all businesses that are really, really good. The ones that are more prone to the ones that are highlighted are best for consignment. So these are really good shops to work in consignment with, and they do it quite often actually. Art galleries as well. It's just that with art galleries you usually do like really big pieces or something really, really special. So you have to like custom make it for them. You can't walk into a store and say, hey, look, I have these products, maybe we can do something together. It's a bit more complicated, but it still can be done. Any questions about the types of businesses? All right, let's keep going. Important thing to say, like these type of businesses, they're expanding every day, right? The idea is like 5 years from now, 5% of all consumer goods could be 3D printed. We don't know what's coming down the pipeline. Like the bamboo lamps change so much in what we can make and actually sell it at a really high quality. So as you develop and as the technology develops, what's cool about this is like the space of something that is cheap enough to make and at high enough quality, it just grows and grows and grows and grows. Like I think when we started off with Cubee, 80% of the products that are now on Hive couldn't have really been competitive with 3D printing, and they are now. It's actually happening. Okay, so back to consignment. Any questions on that whole why they need us? Did I convince you that businesses can enjoy a good relationship with a high quality, affordable 3D printing service? I'll take this silence as a hell yeah. Thank you, Carla. I appreciate it. Okay, so when we look at your journey or the place you are as a 3D printing business, I'm assuming that that we have a few steps that have already been taken care of. So let's say you have a print farm, right, or even one printer, right? Let's call that the beginning of a print farm. You created a brand, basically a name for now, right? You have a product line. As far as I'm concerned, being a Hive member means you have at least access to a product line. So all these things have been checked, and the hardest part is the marketing and selling. And there are all these different ways in which we're marketing and selling our 3D printing business. And consignment, I think, is just the fastest way to get feedback or to even make a sale, in my opinion. It takes a little bit of guts because there's something about making this interaction of walking into a place or reaching out to a place or making a connection with a place that is like it's coming out of your shell. There's something a lot easier than when it comes to human interaction or being a salesman or salesperson. Sorry, there's something a lot easier with posting something on Etsy or even on Instagram or even creating an ad or something. There's this like shield of the online world, um, but doing consignment is, I think, the quickest step to get there. Maybe only even to setting up a booth at at a farmer's market or kind of like artisan markets. But setting up a booth at an artisan market would cost you more money than doing consignment. So for marketing and selling, this is a really good first step. And potentially, if you have something that you've already 3D printed that you are allowed to use commercially, there's nothing stopping you from trying to get a consignment deal literally tomorrow. Um, and now I'm going to talk about how to get started, in my opinion. Maybe beforehand, I'll say this. There's something about putting yourself out there, like as a business, that is really, really hard. When we started Cubee, before we really homed in on commercial licensing, we did serve a lot of businesses, and we still have some businesses that we serve. We always subcontracted, like the manufacturing was always done by uh, our users. So people from within the community. We never 3D printed ourselves any product. We always gave that contract to someone, but that's what we did. We walked into businesses. I think we had we wanted to prove this concept that it can work and that it can be scaled and it can happen everywhere. So we had businesses in California, we had businesses in New York, we had businesses in Seattle, we had businesses in Tel Aviv. Those were the first areas, and I literally walked into stores. And there's something kind of hard about putting yourself out there, and doing it in general. And I think there's something about consignment that really helps because you don't have to be this like super tight business that's got it all together. You can be this creator, right? This craftsman that just has a product, and he wants to and a want to collaborate with a local business to test it out, right? It's a really, really good narrative to test it out. And there's something about going into a business and trying to convince them to collaborate with you rather than buying something from you. That's just a lot easier, right? This is something that we don't want to do always. We don't want to do forever, because eventually it's gonna be. So it's not something that we're gonna want to do constantly, because we don't want to keep manufacturing things and putting them out there and spending money on all the products and then waiting for them to be sold. Like what we end up wanting to achieve is a deal flow where we say, okay, now we know we like this product. Now you want it in 5 different colors. Now let's order them in advance, right? I want to sell this to you. You buy them. You stock, a small amount, and when you sell, like, you can always order more, even one at a time. You can keep manufacturing, but we do want to end up being paid up front. But to get our foot in the door, this consignment deal of saying like, hey, this is really, really this is a cool product. I want to see how it works. Maybe we can collaborate. I think it could fit with your brand, or maybe I can create something that is better fitting your brand, right? Changing the color or different model, different design. There's a lot of things we can do there. It's just a really, really great way to get our foot in the door, not to talk about how we can later use that for our overall operation of a brand. Like, think about walking in with somebody. If you just have a one 3D printer and 3 products that you printed, right? And you walk into your first store and you get a consignment deal, then from this point on, you're already a business that has products in other design stores in the area, right? You already supply other stores. You're in this, like, it's an immediate upgrade to your status as a business. I think, like, I think it's a really cool hack sheet that you can later say, oh yeah, well, I sell here, you can get my products here and here and here. It could be on your website. All these things have to work together. So how to do it, how to actually get started. Any interaction that I use for the first time, I think the magic marketing flow, right? Which I talk about this constantly with the social media marketing. But when I talk about it in social media marketing, I talk about the fact that that it works really, really well when you pitch something, when you send an email, when you have a phone call, everything. So those 5 points are a thumb stopper, a value proposition, breaking down barriers, building trust, call to action. If you've heard this like a million times, I'm really sorry. But I think I'm going to just quickly run through what those mean. And you can also email me later, set up a call with me so we can talk about it more. But the thumb stopper is something like it comes from scrolling, right? A physical response that makes somebody stop. So it's like it's the first thing these people see when you walk in, or when you introduce yourself, or when you talk about it. They have to see something that makes them go wow. And that's why I always think that the best way to get started is to literally walk into a place and interact, like preferably a business where a manager and owner is available there, and to get them to actually see something that you've created, because I'm sure you have incredible products that can fit their business, and if you walk in with the right product, that's a thumb stopper. It's a conversation starter. It's you have my attention now, right? So with social media, it could be just like it has to be a flash in the image, but when you walk into a place and talk to someone, you want um, to get that moment from them. If you just talk and talk and talk and there's nothing like really grabs their attention, you can really lose them quickly. So a thumb stopper is really important. It's the first thing that you show. So I would start the conversation without even saying things, just showing them like, look at this cool thing, right? Value proposition is just introducing who you are and what you do. And again, as a salesman, what works for you is best. Like, we each have a personality, and that personality is really important in how we sell a product in general, right? I I am always, I worked in sales for 8 years. I find it cringy to sell something. Like, there's something about that moment that is just like my heart kind of like squeezes itself. So for me, what I always do is I kind of downplay myself or downplay the situation. I don't want like you have people coming in like looking, if you're confident and you show like, and you look sharp, and you're impressive, and you come in and you're like, this is what I do. I'm this business. I have it together. Like, it's amazing. If that works for you, do that. I downplay myself, and I usually say, oh, this, like, I come to you with respect. I come from beneath you, and I'm just here to help or to learn, or I'm just getting started, or I'm doing this project, right? That I'm working on. So this is what I would say. I would say something in the lines of, hi, I'm a creator. Like, value proposition is what you are exactly. I skipped that part. It's really important to say. You have to, in one sentence, explain who you are and what you offer to the world, right? This is the value proposition, or it's just like a one-liner. So I'd say something in lines of, I'm a creator, right? I create different products. I 3D print here in the city, or something like this. And and I have some questions about this product, because we've already had a thumb stopper, we're holding something in our hand. So this will be the value proposition. I'm looking to like to see how the market interacts with it. I'm thinking about starting like I'm starting out a business. I have some questions for you. I need your help. I'm looking for a collaboration. Those are the kind of things that you'd say in the very start as a value proposition. And then the third, which is the most important part, is breaking down the barriers, right? When somebody comes in and is like they feel like they're getting pitched something or they're seeing an ad or anything, the first thing they do is they bring up screens of why I don't need something, right? If I see an ad on TV, the first thing that like even if it's interesting to me, I'm like, oh, I probably don't need it because like we come up with reasons instantly to just like undermine our basic want to learn more or to get this product. It's a human instinct. And when we sell something, what we need to do is we need to understand in advance what these barriers are going to be for the product that I am selling, and to um, present them upfront as like as a value of what you're doing here, of what you're offering. So I'm going to talk about my offering in a way that is tailored to the barriers that I assess the other person is going to bring up. And consignment is like, it's killer for this because a business does not want to spend money. A business, I mean, it needs to spend money to make money, but it doesn't want to invest in more things, right? It's already, their stock is full. They don't want to, really take too many risks, right? They might, but there's a good chance what they're saying, like, I can't buy this now. Like, I can't afford it, or I don't want to, or like, I don't know if it's going to work. Like, I don't want to just waste money, right? Consignment is an amazing barrier breaker because it basically says, you don't have to pay me unless this is a good product that people want and it flies off the shelf. The first time I did consignment, they called me the next day and said, the product sold. Somebody bought it. We want another one. Please bring me another one. Like that. That happened to me. It was the first business that we actually sold to. The first business we worked with, and it was incredible, and it was like a great foot in the door for us. So that's an amazing breaking down the barrier. If you say, I don't want to sell this to you, but I'm looking to see how people react to it, and was wondering maybe we want to do a consignment deal, maybe you think this could fit in your store or something of this nature. That's an amazing barrier breaker for us. The fourth point is to build trust, right? It kind of contradicts my downplaying, right? You can't come and say like, oh, I've never done this before. I have no idea what I'm doing, right? You have to build some form of trust, either as a professional. I've been 3D printing for an X amount of years, or worked with other businesses before, like, or trust in the product, right? About how good they are, how nice they are. If they see the product and feel it, that builds a lot of trust, right? Because they know that they're buying something that they're actually holding in their hand. And lastly is a call to action, which is like, you can never finish a conversation like this. You can never close a deal without actually asking that awkward question, like, so what do you think? So like, can I leave this here? Like, do you think like, if is this something that could work with you? Have you done this before? Do you work like that? Right? Um, and you'd be surprised, but like, there isn't a lot of reason. If they like the product, there's not a lot of reason to say no. Is basically what I'm saying. If we work with this and if we convince them, like, obviously there are a lot of reasons for them to say no, right? They could not like the product. They could not understand who you are or what you want from them. They could be busy at the moment, and you just like, they could not like you as a person, which is probably the biggest reason, like, to say no. If you don't have a good like vibe with somebody, they're just not one to help you out or to work with you or to collaborate. So you have to make them feel like they want to work with you. Um, and if they don't trust you, like, if they don't trust you, it's done before it started, no matter what you do in life, right? But you'll never know unless you do the call to action, unless you ask the question, right? Um, I learned that when I wanted to, in seventh grade, I wanted to ask a girl to like, I really wanted to go to the prom with someone, but I never had the courage to ask, right? I don't know what would have happened had I asked. Like, would you like, if you don't do that one last step, which is the most awkward one, you never get to that level. So that is Those are the five, right? Thumb stopper, value proposition, breaking down their barriers, building their trust, and asking. That's the script that I will use when I go to pitch something or sell something, no matter what. So it fits here as well, and it's really important. Um, okay, that's the general flow about this. I want to go again over the pros and the cons, and to kind of sum everything up. So, as I said before, consignment is striking a deal with someone with a business by you still owning the product and not selling it to them, right? But they put it on their shelf and they try to sell it, and if they sell, you get a commission talk, right? The big pro here is that it minimizes the risk for the business and raises their ability to say yes. It breaks down the barriers of the sale. The cons is that you have to work, you have to print the product, you have to provide it, you have to supply it, you have to say goodbye to it and leave it somewhere, right? And it sells. Usually, consignment works. Almost always, it will work with a physical store or a store that at least has physical storage in it. So like e-commerce businesses, it's harder to work this way with them. You'd probably like the equivalent would be to become a drop shipper for e-commerce store, which also works, right? It could provide these businesses with media for with media for a product and get them to post this product online and to have it up for sale, and then you fulfill the product after like they purchase it from you after they sold it. So it can work, but it's more like a form of drop shipping, and it's more complex to get them to, like, unless you know these people, it's more complex to get them to actually say yes before they hold it. They might need to sample, you print it, you ship it. It's not as easy as just walking into a store and starting a conversation with someone. Um, so, so those are the pros and cons of this deal. But the main pro here is that it could get your product into a business and potentially sold within one day. I've seen it happen to it literally happened to me, which is why I think it's so important. And when I talk to like more established businesses that have business client, I say stay away from consignment because you might not want to get into it. But if you're not in businesses already, if you want to expand to new businesses, it's a really quick way to do it. One thing that you should never forget is if someone is interested, you should talk about, it's important to talk about the split here, right? You need to make sure that there's an agreement of what the retail price is. And all of you who do e-commerce, you know what the retail price of these products are. And notice that when you do sell to businesses, you have to, as a brand, you have to have the businesses sell the product at the same price that you're selling it. So a great example of that would be a Nike store, right? Most Nike stores will sell a product at the same cost as other Foot Lockers, for example. So Nike sells a shoe to Foot Locker at probably half the price that it sells it to you guys, and then Foot Locker and Nike sell it at the same price. Or when I go to a vineyard and I go to the visitor center, they're not going to sell me a bottle of wine for half the price. They're going to sell me at retail cost, which is the same cost that you'd buy it at a supermarket, because you don't want to compete, you don't want to compete with other businesses or resellers in a way where they under or overprice you. There could be sales. Like you can say, okay, the real price is an X, and then I'm doing a 30% off sale right now. That can happen. But generally speaking, you should agree on the retail price of this product, and you should agree on the cut. And again, a rule of thumb is it's quite common to do a 50-50 cut with a business for consignment, but it's not unheard of to go 70-30 in either direction, right? So you can get a feel, you can offer a 50-50, but if it pays off for you, especially just to get started and to get used to supplying to businesses, to understanding how it works, to getting to know what products customers like, because then you get that data by having products there. Those are all reasons to do it, even if the cut is not like exactly perfect for you right off the bat. That is all I intended to say. but I'm happy to answer. We have some time for questions if you have any.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
Any advice to that? Okay, that sounds great, but I'm not gonna explain. Uh, but I am very shy person. So going to a store and talk with someone about selling my products and stuff like that, it's kind of hard for me. And also came into my mind scenarios where, for example, the owner of the store or the people who can I don't know, can I say the people, the owner of the store that has the decision maker about I'm sorry.
Yep.
What I say is, how do you handle, for example, if the first person that you see in a store is not a decision maker of the company or the store? No, for example,
Yeah.
an employee, and maybe he doesn't know if he doesn't have the power to say, okay, let's do the deal.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah,
there are two questions here. I'm going to answer them both really good. I'm going to answer them both. I'll start with the first one. So the first question was for everybody. It was basically saying like, okay, I'm shy. Like, how can I deal with like walking into a store? Like, and as I talked about this, like this cringiness about doing it. It's like really, really hard for me. I would like it when I did it. I sweat my entire body. Was really, really hard. I think that whole downplaying the situation um, is the key here. Um, to come in and to ask, like to come in and to interact with a store seller as a fellow business owner who is seeking out advice or is doing research is something that has been really helpful for this. There are a lot, like everybody wants to give advice, right? Everybody wants to. I've been talking to for 50 minutes happily because I feel like I'm providing some form of value. So everybody wants to be in this position where they're like an advisor. So to come in and go, hey, I'm starting this business. I do the weekend markets, okay, with these, and you guys sell amazing products here. I was wondering to get your opinion. Okay, what do you think pricing for this is? What, like, is this like, can you give me any advice on this? Is a great way to start a conversation, and might really ease into asking something in the form of, like, could a product like this be in a store like this? Like, do you think it could fit? Or if they're excited about the product already, then you know that you have an in. And sometimes all you need is like, I know this for me to walk into a meeting knowing that somebody's interested in my product is like a lot easier than coming in scratch. So if you have this like, let's talk about it, or let's set up a meeting, or I'm just an employee, but I like it's really cool. I really like it. Maybe I can meet you. Like I can introduce you to the manager or to the boss, right? Or you can set up a meeting for them. It's a lot easier. Like when you go into a meeting knowing that you have a product that somebody might want to buy, it's a lot more easygoing, in my opinion. So this is what I suggest when it comes to that part. The second question, let me see if I can remember it. Um, I'm blacking out, so if you can remind me.
yeah. What to do when the person that is
Oh yeah,
is in
okay.
the store is not the decision maker?
First of all, the cool thing about consignment is that it drastically shortens the ladder of who can add a product or not add a product. Like I'd find that store managers who like are in charge of what's showing currently, they can they can sometimes like or a lot easily put a product on the shelf if they don't have to pay for it or if they don't have to justify buying it. And then if you're actually selling the product, you will need to go to the top man. So the consignment part already expands the possibility that somebody will be able will be able to authorize this happen. And if not, I think that what I just mentioned earlier is a way to do that. It's like getting your opinion or asking like, okay, who can I talk to about this, or like who chooses the person who chooses the pricing, if you can consult with them, that's how you know that you are talking to a decision maker. And you can choose smaller businesses that or that often the people who are like working there are people who are running the business. And because there are a lot of businesses out there, like the whole ma and pa shop the whole concept is like it's a store that ma and pa are running, and you walk into it and you meet like the family owned business. You meet the owner. Yeah, I hope this helps.
Thank you.
Carlo has asked the question on the chat. How do you decide how much stock to provide to the store? So it really depends on them more than anything. One of your advantages is that you have like low inventory. So if you come in with a product and then you show them on your phone the preview of the catalog or the products that you can have, um, like if they're like, oh yeah, let's do a whole shelf here, awesome. But maybe they're just like, oh yeah, let's put one and see what happens, right? So it really you need to be in this place where without it being too much work for you, like you're not going to print 20 products now just putting them there unless you really believe that they will sell, right? You can be flexible to their needs. Is it a big store? Is it a small store? Do you want to do a whole stand? And like if they get excited about this and their brain starts working, then you you need to be this you're an enabler. You're like, yeah, okay, let's go with your dream, but, and this is a big but, don't let them get too carried away. Oftentimes what happens is when people get the concept of 3D printing, like when businesses understand how insane and what a huge potential this thing is, they get carried away. Like, okay, so maybe I'll do like ones with logos with my brand name on them, and let's do 5 different colors. Can you do 3 different colors? Like people get really excited. So I would always say like first get say, okay, yeah, we can talk about all of them. That maybe I'll have to do an order. Like that's how now you're already making a sale, right? Okay, we can talk about this, but I'll have to get paid in advance because I'm doing this custom. But there is this like let's put a product here and see what works best, right? You have to be in that position to actually get the product to, because your goal is to first of all have something on the shelf. If you get into this like ideation period with them, then you could be fine. We had a client where we ended up working 3 months with them, doing 3 different designs, like changing shapes, colors before they even sold something. And it was like, okay, we should have gone a different, like, we want to first test out this product. That's the most important thing.
Hey, Uriah, how are you? I have a
Hey.
question. Is it recommend to have any kind of contract, like saying, "Oh, I'm bringing you 25 pieces," and so they don't say later, "Oh no, you just brought me 20" or something like that. So any kind of legal document where you can establish what you have and what's the price and everything.
Okay, so I'll put it this way. This is my I'll say it as a fellow salesman. Obviously, like the dry lawyery answer is like you always need to have a legal agreement when you do any form of transaction. That being said, consignment, if it's like I wouldn't do a consignment with 25 pieces right off the bat, because that's already an order and you can have probably cost to make it, and then you're going to want to at least get cost for it, and then there's an invoice, and an invoice is already a legally binding document, and then it's a sale. But with usually consignment, if it's like a small piece, right? If you bring them 3, 4, 5 products that you've printed, you're not really like what the worst thing that can happen to you in this situation is that they cheat you out of, I don't know, what, like you lose what you gave them and they're crooks or whatever. I think that you shouldn't make this thing really, really heavy. Verbal agreements or just like a textual agreement or an email agreement usually hold up legally. Not that I think that you're going to go to court for $100, $200, $300 of those products, but these are like verbal agreements are legally binding documents. Just to have something like to text them, you have a number to text them like, okay, so cool, just as a reminder, what we've decided to do here is I'm gonna give you the 3, 4 products. They're gonna be on the shelf. and if they sell, then we split them 50-50. They give you the thumbs up. That's like, I think for getting started, that's all you need. But again, like the lawyer in the room, I'm not giving you any legal advice. Let's put it this way. This is just, I know that it's done, and that these things tend to hold up in court usually. And you don't need and you can, by the way, produce an invoice. Like, okay, this is really important. You can produce, once you provide them the product, you can produce like some sort of invoice or some form of like a receipt saying, here are here's your receipt. Like when you deliver something, say, here's your receipt. It's not a payment receipt, but it's just a document saying like, here's what I've given you. There's your official business name, there's a date, there's like the 4 products. It says under consignment, to be paid only when sold, right? Something very simple that you can give them when you're providing with the product. It shows you that you're organized, that you're professional, and it covers your butt. So yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll sum this up. I'll say that it was really nice talking to you guys. You have really nice logos in your profile names, because it's not a call where I didn't see any faces, but those of you who have your faces on the logos are smiling at me, so I appreciate that. Those of you who aren't, I would suggest adding a picture of you smiling for the next talk. And I really hope it helped. I'm available in Discord, and if you want to talk specifically on consignment, you can also schedule a call with me. So you can DM me, and I'll send you a link, and we can talk about this more. So I really want to thank you so much for your time. I hope this was helpful. And yeah, next time I hope that we'll open this up to sharing more. If any of you have done this, I would love to hear it about more. So I'm sorry we didn't have time for that part, but thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate it.